He's quick. What do we need these guys to actually change? Not give up any sacks? What do we need? Sean Watson went to Superstar Dev because he was the beast mode last year. 3 Pro Bowls. Did he go up? No, he's a superstar to begin with. Watt. He was a superstar to begin with. He had a Pro Bowl appearance, so his dev went up. Same thing here, Pro Bowl appearance. Pool went down to negative because he had. Give it down here. No, it's just about as much as it was before. You get no awards, that's probably it. It probably compares to the rest of the league, actually. Oh, I'm thinking about it. For example, how old is Quick? He didn't get in. Tram Matthew didn't get in either. Clowney did. He didn't. Did Reader get in? No. I think who else got in. We got awards. Lamb is pretty high up there, but I don't think he had anything. I think it was just Hopkins. Manson had just a stellar year. But I wonder if that also plays an effect. Like 706 yards. Maybe you need 2 years to actually go down if you're a rookie. Okay, let's see another rookie. Carr. Go down a rookie. He didn't start, so it doesn't matter. Okay, normal dev. I wonder if he got that dev to begin with. Let's see his stats. No, it seemed like he did more last year, so it's definitely not stats. It looks like he played definitely a lot more. And more tackles, had 1 sack that he didn't have last year. Interception he didn't have last year. And he still went down. So it must be because he played so many snaps that he didn't make the Pro Bowl, so he didn't get there. Or he didn't get an award. Like, Watson got Superstar Dev. Not on here, but because he was the league MVP, Watson got the snub there, which is weird because I can't Roethlisberger, maybe. Who was the other one? The Roethlisberger? Mariota. Who was the league MVP? I don't know who it was. This was the offensive MVP. But he was already superstar dev. I'm trying to think who it was. Was it Northrop that was the MVP? No. I don't think it was Rodgers. It's kind of weird that I got the superstar dev probably because I was the league MVP, but it didn't actually give me that, like the award. Mariota didn't even start last year. And this is strange too. Why would you spend this much money? I mean, Rivers is a reliable backup, but still strange. I don't remember what the other awards was, what they were. Alright guys, I would say my initial recommendations right now would be play the training. Number one, play the training. That's the only way you can logically level up your guys. Or, increase their skills. We had probably 10 to 15. That last one that we'd upgraded, I thought it would be a lot more. This is on default experience sliders. I thought it would be a lot more, but actually it's not true. So the season before we had 4. So it about doubles when you're training, but also I have, let's see, a bunch of guys in the 80s. JJ Watt's not increasing fast. Reader had like 4 himself, or 3 or 4. Matthew and Hal themselves are pretty high up there. And so I was getting a lot of the lower players. I think only Clowney had 1. Matthew had 1. I don't think Hal had any. Reed had a couple, so it does work there. The second thing is sliders don't matter if you're doing a sim, but they won't matter obviously when you do play. But one of the things I did notice is your scheme fits. Just kind of go into the experience. If you look in the bottom there, players within 3 overall points of the preferred player type will increase the scheme fit percentage. So if they're within 3, so if you got a guy that's safer quarterback. He's field general within 3. He'll increase the fit. And those with the perfect scheme match. So, like, say, Moody here will get the buff. And that makes training ever bit as important. Also, this only affects your ratings, your scheme right here, your scheme fit. For training, it actually does not change your defensive coverage, I think, because those are within the playbook. And the playbook is built on, say, a multiple scheme zone. If I go to a spread, well, the playbook is still a multiple zone run scheme, so it doesn't matter there. Oops. Zone run scheme. There we go. Multiple 34. So the playbook is still going to be that. So I think messing with the scheme there to try to get players that you want to change to a different scheme. Maybe you want to. Maybe I'd like to have. Let's see, my line upgrade faster. Like these 4 guys. Maybe they're a certain scheme. I know some of them are pass protected, but I want them to be agile over there. I can pick a scheme that has pass protector. I can upgrade agile as I'm going. And then as they change, I could later change the scheme and then flip it, which seemed to be nice. But the positions hold true. So this will be my next one. My third thing, while you're drafting, like this guy right here is a left guard. He is built as a left guard. So he has a little bit of pass protecting portion. Elam is built as a center. Womack was a left tackle. So he was built more as a pass protector. Kind of like Hill is over here. I think I've upgraded a couple times. I think he was a 77. But Nalrath, same thing. I've had to upgrade his agile to be up there. Otherwise, I think his pass protector was the top, but it was at least close. Things like Moody here. He is not going to gain very fast in this. And so I think priority upgrading with scheme fit, things like that is important. But a guy like Hopkins, that I'm already up to 95 and 96, it's going to take a while to upgrade them anyway. So I would then say that your coach XP should be on expert scouting. First off, I haven't messed with any of these. Expert scouting, the first thing you do. And then increase player weekly goal XP is the next thing. And then I wouldn't worry about retention unless you got a guy that might retire soon that you'd like to keep, things like that. Or someone who's a big re-signing that you absolutely can't miss. But really you can highball them a little bit and they'll sign anyway. If you got the money. Otherwise, boost your O-line, because it seems like your O-line takes a while to really upgrade. And because they're only in the trenches and they're only preventing sacks, that sort of thing. So they don't get points as fast. So the O-line training boost is probably the best one to get first. Whoops. Things like QB, running back, receiver, tight end, those guys can get touchdowns, and it's easier to get those skill boosts week by week while you're in the game. Same thing with D-line, with sacks and stops, linebackers with sack stops and interceptions, DBs with interceptions and blocks. Kicker, it's not really a big deal. Punter, same thing, not really a big deal. But I would say definitely get your O-line and then from there, kind of pick what you like to do. My defense was one of the top in the league. I didn't have any defensive ones to begin with, so I grabbed O-line, D-line, DB, and LB from there. I grabbed the entire defense because right now the hallmark of my team is the defense at 93 overall. And I want to keep guys like J.J. Watt up to 90, in the high 90s as long as possible. I want to upgrade guys like Colvin faster, Poole faster, pulling in Beasley. I want to keep Clowney up there faster. Merciless is being difficult. I want to keep Tyrann Mathieu up there, Howell up there. I want to keep these guys up to a high overall because this is my core unit, my defense. My offense started at about a 79. So I relatively kept the same receivers with Hopkins, Fuller, Ellington. I've changed, obviously, the running back a lot. We did with Lamar Miller for 2 years, and then we had LaShawn McCoy for the third. And if I do a fourth, we'll do with Moody. I changed with the fullback, a guy that we can have long term, and he should upgrade at least fairly decently. And I changed the O-line up. So everyone but Fulton, I think. Yeah, everyone but Fulton is who I have drafted. So I drafted Hill, Elam, Womack, and Nallrath. And I revamped the entire offensive line. And I think that's really key with a lot of teams is your offensive line is one of the biggest needs you really do have to fix first with any team if you're lacking. We had lackluster tight end play until we brought in Madison, and I think Seals Jones came up a little bit last year. And some. Not really. He had 8 catches for 84 yards. But he can still do something out there. It was really all Madsen's show, and Madsen just took it by storm. 62 catches, 706 yards, 5 touchdowns. Did a pretty good job. Now, when it comes to development, so this is probably, I'm gonna say I'm on the fourth reason. Development is important. I think this is how it works. So Deshaun Watson here was a star. He was not a superstar before this. He was just a star. He won the league MVP, even though it doesn't say this here. Typically it says if you got a Pro Bowl, but for some reason it doesn't tell you if you won another award besides Player of the Week or Pro Bowl. He was the league MVP. So I think with that, he got the superstar status. I don't think it's actually because of the stats, and I'll tell you why. 17 rating was better, but not as good as 2018. 2017 is a campaign where he messed up his knee, so we started 2018. His passer rating is better from last year, but not better than his first year. He has more yards, yes. More touchdowns, but more interceptions. Just as many sacks. Completion percentage is higher. And then if you go to rushing, he had 2 touchdowns last year and 1 this year. And it did have a turnover and a fumble, but we had no fumbles last year. So ultimately, I think Deshaun Watson actually increased because of winning. Because of winning the league MVP. He did not make the Pro Bowl, so there are Pro Bowl snubs, which is pretty cool with that. But he did not make the Pro Bowl. Look at Hopkins. Hopkins was already a quick development. He's how old? Was he 29? So he's starting to regress a little bit. But actually, he did not increase because it seems that a Pro Bowl is a quick or star dev. This would be his third, and he didn't go up. Fuller is at a normal. He went down to a normal. We're going to take a look at his stats. He has 74 catches, 639 yards, which is just many catches but less yards, less touchdowns. So he didn't have as spectacular of a year. So obviously he did go down. The line is very weird with that. Now let's go to the defense. J.J. Watt was in the Pro Bowl last year. His dev did not change. Obviously, 6 Pro Bowl. And this is the weird part with J.J. Watt. So looking at his stats. Last year he only had 7. 2018 he had 11.5 and he had 10 here in 2020. Not more tackles than he had last year. Not as many for loss. No interceptions. 3 forced fumbles. So he had 3 more forced fumbles, and he actually recovered 3. He is still a superstar, likely because there might be a type of scoring maybe in there, and he kept his superstar because that's his 6th Pro Bowl, as well as he matched what he did last year, if not a little bit more than normal. Quick dev here for Pro Bowl appearance. So it might be that Pro Bowl appearance is a quick dev trait. Because remember, go back over here, Hopkins did get in there into the Pro Bowl. It didn't go up, so he kept. So there might be a tiered system in this. Normal is when you get snubbed from just about everything. Then you have J.J. Watt where he's playing at a high level, he's just not getting any awards. He was not the best defensive lineman. He was last year, but not this year. When you look at Reader, he's a quick, and he decreased from a quick because he did not make the Pro Bowl. So I wonder that's what it is. Because he made the Pro Bowl, he got an award. He was able to stay up to that superstar dev. Because looking at the stats of Reader, I think he did a lot better this year. He had 5 sacks, not as many tackles, not as many for loss. But he forced 2 fumbles that he didn't force last year. So I think he had a better year than last year. His dev treatment did go down now. And last, Trent Matthew has not made the Pro Bowl. Quick dev went down. Hal did not make the Pro Bowl this year, but I think he had a stellar year the past 2 campaigns, which kept him at a quick. And I'll show you. So he had 90 tackles, 1 for loss, no sacks, 1 interception last year. He got the development trait at 6. So I'm not sure how he keeps this. How was on a award list, but he didn't win it. Clowney, he's a star. He went to the Pro Bowl, and his trait did go up. So maybe there's a tiered system for Pro Bowls as well. Your first one, maybe you go to a quick. Then your third or fourth one, you go to a star. Then maybe if you get 6 or 7, you go to a superstar, that sort of thing. So it may work like that. Colvin is a star. His went up. He did get a Pro Bowl portion. Let's see his stats. Let's see his awards. So only one Pro Bowl appearance, which was last year. He did about the same. Who decreased? Was it Matthew? Okay. Matthew has 2 Pro Bowl appearances. Let's test to make sure those actually translate. So Superstar Dev, you were the league MVP. MVPs are not actually in here. Wow. So that you won a league MVP is not in here. So you got to remember this stuff. Eddie Goldman did not have a trade coming here. He also did not have a Pro Bowl season. Poole went down to a normal. Did he have a Pro Bowl look last year? No. Like 1 interception, not as many tackles. No forced fumbles. So I would generally say he didn't have a season like he did 2019. And he probably got a better trait 2 years ago. So yeah, it's still gonna take a bit getting used to, trying to figure out exactly how the trait system and that whole thing with the development system actually works while you're playing. If it's game based, say you just have a stellar game, you break a single game record. Would you at the end of the year, if you did that once, would your dev increase? Like I have a lot of questions with this, but it'll take a while to sort them out as we play through the game. And I might have some acknowledgments while I'm playing my Bears franchise as well. But I will call this quits here. I think I'm going to cut the last portion I'm going through, explaining kind of like the dev portion and some of the key things you have to do. The 5th one is obviously scouting. I feel that there is a good variety, but it's because like there's a lot of good players, but it's because I think of scheme. Players that you have that fit your scheme or fit your scheme better. Like last year it was if you wanted a pass rush left end because you were in a 4-3, and then you brought in a linebacker that worked in a 3-4. He was a pass rush outside linebacker. Well, he's not a coverage guy. Obviously, his rating is going to be lower in that area. But if you move him down and plug him into one of the end ones, his overall will shoot up because he has the traits to play that position. I think that still applies. Because if I go like this, Fulton. Let's do it with Fulton. And if I bring up Fulton like this, nothing logically changes. obviously. But if I bring up Fulton or Lott or Low, see Low here, 69 overall here with 70. Fulton's an 80 over on left tackle, but he's 81 on left guard. Elam's a 78 here and here. So there are that whole thing that does exist. On defense, I don't think that really exists. There's no left, right, what someone prefers at all. It's just if you're in a nickel, if you're the linebacker 2, if you're in a if you need a nose tackle DT, but in reality you're a pass rush DT, how do you do that? Obviously, rush outside linebacker compared to a coverage outside linebacker. Maybe your middle linebacker 1 is a pass coverage guy, or you drop down a safety and that sub package linebacker. But normally, if you're not in your sub package, it's not going to decrease that linebacker spot if he is a run stopping linebacker or a field general linebacker isn't going to affect that because your safety is actually playing that coverage linebacker's portion, or your safety's coming down playing that cover corner, slot corner. So, and also in that rush, when you're actually playing a 4-3, but you're playing a 4-2, what is it, a 4-2-6? What is it, 4-2-6? The 4-2-5. Now, I can't count. It is a 4-2-5. Yeah, 4-2-5. So you have your 4 linemen, but you play a 3-4. Well, those left and right outside linebackers drop down into the ends, and they actually play just like they would if they were at a 3-4 setup, but it's for a rushing left end, and then your defensive tackles can be your end, or you may want to mix it up like on here. What it looks like is on the specialist portion is Watt and Reader in the middle, and then Clowney and Beasley are on the outside. If I'm in a 4-3, if I'm in a 3-3-5, well then in that case, I'll just have Clowney, Watt, and Beasley out there. We have 3 of our linebackers out there. We have 3 coverage linebackers at that point, I think, in that sub package. And then, of course, we'd have Peppers, Reed, and McKinney out there. And then, of course, we'd have your slot corners. But your slot corners isn't just your third; it's also your fourth. And I will show you that in our formation subs. So you're in a big time, a 2-3-6. So your 2. Clowney, Vic, Beasley, Watt. There. Poyer's playing in the slot. Peppers is... So it still brings down that safety in the box. Peppers actually is playing middle linebacker. Hal is the safety, the strong safety that's playing in the box. And then it still has that strong safety out on Reeves. So you have to watch this. In formation sub this is still a little broken. Personally, I like to have in this set, in a dime, be able to pick both of them in one thing. And here's what I mean. I wish in the specialty, in that formation, that Peppers and Reed would be the ones out there, and then it would go to my base safeties with Matthew and Hal. Because then I could go and put Peppers down there, and I could put Matthew as well in the box. Then I could play Reed and Hal up top. And I want more fluid there, and I can do that in the formation sub portion. I just want something. I want to work here, where maybe you have your slot corners in there, and maybe you have your sub linebacker, and then you say, because the other one's a box safety. If you want your box safety, who you want it to be, but you're allowed to choose between linebackers, corners, or safeties. So that would be the only thing I'd add to this specialist, but it isn't very important to use this. That'll be like my 5.1 there, or my 5.5 recommendation with it is to play and set up your specialist schemes, because they are very, very important when you least expect it. Alright guys, well that will end the stream here. It's going on pretty late. Right here, let's see who's on, see if we can post someone. Let's play in some Madden. Well, let's go over to Sammy's playing some MLB. I'll have some MLB up on the channel tomorrow, or Friday. And then I might have 2 on Friday. So I am actively going through and editing. So we're going to go over and I'm going to host him. Thank you all for joining me. It was fun exploring this. I think we found out a lot of things about the game. Sorry about my allergies for the most part. But I think we still have a lot to explore. So I'll see you guys next time. Later.